Good evening to all you ghosts and goblins out there. I'm your spooky... This is fucking dumb, huh?
Hey everyone, Cheyenne in Anchorage asks, what are some spooky games I can play this Halloween? And you know what? I got so many answers for you, I'm getting 2 episodes out of it. Now, when I think of socializing on Halloween, I think of 3 specific things. That is, that they are spooky, they are fun, they are thrilling sorts of experiences that I like to have with my friends. I like amplifying off of their fun, off of their laughter, and off of their terror. So with that out of the way, we're going to look at our 3 spook-tacular games that we're going to play this Halloween. If we're talking about spooky games, then we have to talk about Mysterium, or as it's known in its native Polish, So Mysterium is a cooperative game that is one of the most eerie and ominous, spooky experiences that I've had playing games at the table. Now, what makes it so different from other cooperative games is that one player, just one player, is going to really lead the game as the ghost who's trying to inform all of the other paranormal investigators of various clues to solve the murder mystery. They only have so many rounds to do it, or else the mystery will be lost to time. It would be so easy if the ghost could just say, hey, Jack, you got to pick that one. But that's not how it works. Of course, that's not how it works. No, every investigator is randomly assigned a correct set of person, place, and thing. The ghost knows them, investigators don't. And then the ghost has this deck of dream cards that all have these bizarre, wild, outlandish dreamscapes that are completely crazy, and none of them correspond perfectly to all the things at the table. The ghost is going to get to hand these to the different investigators during the round, and they are going to debate among themselves whose mind's supposed to be. And you, as the ghost, are completely racking your brain going, oh man, is Jack going to think of this card as the yellow card corresponding to the yellow jacket on that lady? And instead, Jack's like, there's a shark fin in the background, I'm pretty sure, so I'm picking the fisherman. The more that everyone gets into the theme of a ghost silently infiltrating your dreams and giving you paranormal messages from beyond the grave, the better of a time everyone's going to have. The game is best when you're looking at some artwork and really trying to interpret what are the themes of this artwork and how could they correspond to the beautiful cards on the table. And there's all kinds of nuggets to extrapolate from everything. One of the best things about Mysterium is when the game ends, whether you win or lose, the ghost is going to turn to the players and go, what were you thinking picking that card? Or the players are going to tell the ghost, what on earth were you thinking giving me that card? I should mention that there are 2 different versions of this game out there. There's the Polish version and then there's the English version. They do have different artwork, slightly different rules. I've played both. I like both. Mysterium is a great cooperative game and one of the greatest spooky games that I have ever played. It is ridiculous that so much fun can be packed into such a tiny little box, but such is the way of One Night Ultimate Werewolf, one of the most perfect games that you can pick up and play for this Halloween. Now, there are many social deduction games on the market, and a lot of them are really good and really fun, but what makes this one perfect for Halloween is there are so many parties out there that you're going to get invited to, or you invite other people to, where they're not always going to be gamers. In fact, you might be invited to a party where you're the only gamer and you thought, oh, maybe I'll just bring along One Night Ultimate Werewolf, and you are fortunate that this is a game that is incredibly approachable to non-gamers, new gamers, or people who just don't like complicated games. There's a few reasons for that too. First off, it takes only about 10 minutes, even with new players. Second off is that it is so visibly fun for anyone who's just watching a game happen that they are going to want to join in on each subsequent game. And it accommodates up to 10 people, and it has a companion app. And I know there are some people out there who are like, get your companion apps out of my board games. And if you're that person, fine, it's okay. You don't have to use the companion app. The way this game works, like many social deduction games, you're going to have a series of roles that are going to be shuffled all together and then handed out to each player. Each role has their own rules, abilities, and win conditions based on who dies. Heck, the Tanner wins if they're the one to die. Each player looks at their roll card and the night phase begins. Everyone closes their eyes and the narrator, either a player at the table with their eyes closed or your friend off to the side, or the companion app, I'm telling you, the companion app is great, is going to read through a series of events that corresponds to the roles that were selected at the beginning of the game. Then the day begins, and that's when the social deduction aspect of this social deduction game is going to come into play. So the day is where players are going to use the information that they gathered throughout the night, and almost all the roles that were handed out allow you to gather information or mess with the information, and they're going to try and debate over who is a werewolf and who is not. Of course, the werewolves are going to try and blame one of the villagers, saying, "No, I'm not a werewolf, but Jack is definitely a werewolf, and here's why I think Jack's a werewolf." Whoever got the most votes, or in the case of a tie, all players who got the most votes are going to reveal their cards, whoosh, and they are going to get the ugh. And that's it. That's one entire game. Based off of the roles in play, a winner is declared and you can play again. At a time of year where you're probably going to a lot of parties where chances are there's going to be some non-gamers there, One Night Ultimate Werewolf is starting to look like the perfect Halloween game. Maybe supernatural horror isn't your thing. Maybe the sort of everyday terror of what may lurk around the corner is what gets you going, in which case Letters from Whitechapel may be the perfect game to play this Halloween. A hidden movement game, one of the most perfectly crafted hidden movement games out there. Letters from Whitechapel, or LFW, all players are looking at a beautiful map of Whitechapel District, London, where there are all kinds of alleyways and locations where Jack can be lurking at any moment. At the beginning of each of 4 nights, Jack the Ripper is going to declare a murder at a specific location, and then the investigators are going to try to catch him before he can return to his hideout. The trick is, and what makes this a hidden movement game, is that while all the investigators have pawns on the board, Jack is not. Jack is keeping track of his movement secretly behind a player shield in a kind of Dungeons and Dragons-esque player shield thing. So what happens is that the investigators, on their turn, they get to move and they get to either investigate or make an arrest. If they investigate, they pick a location and Jack has to reveal if he has or has not been there. Or if they make an arrest, and if Jack is there, the investigators have won the game. The trick is you cannot investigate and make an arrest at the same time. The other major kink in Jack's plan, and one of the biggest tools of the investigators, is that Jack can never cross an alleyway in which an investigator is patrolling. So in a way, you're gaining clues about where Jack is heading. During the first night, you're not likely to catch him, but you may know which direction he's going across London. The second night, you might be able to really hone in on where he was right before he disappeared. And eventually, you're going to be pretty confident that he's on a specific location, and you're going to say, "I make an arrest here." This is one of the most thrilling, one of the most exciting, and one of the most nerve-wracking games I've ever played, both as Jack and as the investigators. So if you're looking for something that is based in a real-world theme, or you just want an incredibly tense game without being overly burdened by tons of rules and special powers, then Letters from Whitechapel may be the way to go. So that's the Cardboard Herald's recommendations for 3 spook-tacular games that you can play this Halloween. Did you agree with our recommendations? Did you disagree? Let us know in the comments below. We want to hear all about it, especially if you went out and played one of these games this Halloween and how it went over. And lastly, now that you're equipped with 3 social games that you can play, as I mentioned, this is the first in a 2-part series where in 2 weeks we are going over 3 totally horrific strategy games to play this Halloween.